Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Gorvius, and today we're reviewing the Forever Purge, the fifth installment in the Purge movie franchise, and what was marketed as supposedly the final film. We'll talk about that later on. This will be a no spoilers review. I will briefly outline the plot, but I won't go into any details or specifics. So if you haven't seen the film, I would recommend to go watch it first. And if that bothers you, me talking about the plot, you can come back to this afterwards. Before we begin though, I do want to quickly take a moment to encourage you guys to go follow me over on TikTok. I've had a TikTok account now for the past year or so, and I've had a lot of fun making weird creative videos on it. Mostly a lot of Star Wars content. I'm doing pretty well for myself, though I would like to get more followers there, more people who might be interested in my content. So if TikTok is your thing and if you like what I do, I highly suggest to go follow me over on TikTok. I assure you the stuff I do over there is to a higher quality than what it is here on YouTube. But with that all said, thank you for sticking around and I hope you check it out. Links will be in the description. So anyways, the Forever Purge. To begin with, my relationship with the Purge franchise. I like the movies. I especially like the concept. To me, the concept of the Purge is obviously very terrifying. The idea of this world where crime could be legal and anyone could do whatever they want without repercussion is obviously a horrifying It's a horrifying scenario. But the way the Purge films have executed this concept has, at most, it's been mediocre. The original Purge movie was fairly good. The only problem was that it was limited to one house, and while it worked for the horror theme and idea for the film, it didn't really work on showing us the full scope of what was going on. The Purge Anarchy, most people quite liked this one. I thought it was one of the weaker ones. There was too much running around, a lot of jump scares. I don't really feel like they showed enough of what the Purge was. They focused too much on murders and shootings when other aspects of the Purge would include robberies, obviously horrible things like rape and all these other things. And I understand from a film perspective you can only show certain things, but I feel like the film focused too much on one or two ideas and didn't expand to show other ideas of what was going on with the Purge. Election Year I liked for the simple fact that it was more story orientated and was about like bringing resolution to the whole thing. And the first Purge then was just absolutely awful, and I just remember hating that movie with a passion, and I don't plan on watching it ever again. So with that said, I have a very kind of so-so relationship with the Purge franchise. But I was interested in checking out the Forever Purge, mainly because it was a new entry, a sequel to Election Year, and it just sounded more interesting. The plot of this film is that the Purge has been stopped, it's over, but people have carried on. Purgers are still going on, and what you end up with is this sort of the government against the people sort of story. And for the first time ever, the Purge franchise feels brand new. They were starting to get stale and predictable and very similar, whereas this film, I think, really changed up the formula in some ways, because now you don't really have a purge anymore in the traditional sense. It's essentially a civil war at this point, and that is a really cool concept that makes the story more interesting, but at the same time, it makes this the most disturbing and thought-provoking Purge yet. Because it's kind of uncomfortable, but it hits a bit too close to reality. You know, there's a lot of stuff going around the world, especially in America, unfortunately, that have obviously inspired the film to a degree, and the film references. And when you put two and two together, it kind of unsettles you, and you get this idea in your head of like, you know, we need to watch out because we could very easily head into a world where this is no longer a fictional story and something like this ends up a reality. So I think the film does a really good job at sort of leaning into that territory, which is what The Purge was always about. It was always this political statement about how we should be careful and the basic themes of the Purge franchise. They've always been oriented that way, and this film does it to the best way possible, I think, and it comes across as really effective. The characters, on the other hand, there's nothing to them. If they had names, I don't even remember. They're extremely forgettable. They don't really have much of a backstory going on. They're just there just for the story to keep going on, which is fine because the story itself is interesting. And I think it's a fitting way to end the Purge franchise in a lot of ways, because having the Purge go beyond what it initially was and being about this whole outbreak, essentially, I think really it was an evolution, is what it felt like. That the Purge went from this experimental idea with the rich trying to kill the poor to essentially an uprising. It felt like a natural evolution, and if this is the last film, I think it is a fitting ending. But to me, it rejuvenated the franchise. I was going in with apprehension because after how terrible the first Purge was, I didn't think there was going to be much to this, but it delivered in ways more than I imagined. It's more action focused, but it's also more disturbing, and it's the type of film that stays in your mind longer after you've seen it. And because of that, it's a film that unfortunately is somewhat relevant to the world today, but it's also very thought-provoking and very just sort of edge of your seat, which is not something I thought I'd be saying about a Purge movie. This is an evolution, and I think it's probably the best one yet because of that. Because it's fresh, because it expands upon what was there before. Yes, it's still sort of murder focused, and you don't get to see other things going on. And there was a Purge TV series, and they could have tried something there, but that got cancelled. So I don't think we'll ever get to see other aspects of the Purge outside of all these killings. But that's a gripe I have. That's not a major deal breaker for me. But overall, what you get is a story about family and survival, utmost and foremost. And I think it's pulled off really well. The cinematography, it all feels completely new and fresh for a Purge film, as I keep saying. And it feels like the franchise has gone into uncharted waters now with this new film. As I said, this was touted as the final film, but they are considering a Purge 6. And if you've seen the Forever Purge, you can get an idea of where they're going to go with that. Would I be interested in the Purge 6? On one hand, I think the Forever Purge ended on a good note in terms of it felt like a natural ending. But I think a Purge 6 could expand on the concepts introduced in Forever Purge. It took it in this whole new direction. A sequel could expand upon that and tighten it up a bit, maybe expand it even further. The one thing I would have against a sixth Purge is that it wouldn't really be a Purge movie anymore. The director wants this idea of like a global purge. And I think that's just going way too out there. That goes into almost a self-awareness territory. I get why they're thinking at the idea of the purge happening in other countries and stuff. I can see how that factors into a mindset, but at the films haven't really established that this is a thing other countries consider. So I don't really think a global purge needs to be a thing. I would much rather it be contained to America. But I mean, we might not even get a Purge 6, whoever knows. But for this film, though, overall, pretty damn good. I was very pleasantly surprised. Pretty good. The best one so far, I think. And if there's another one, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. But yeah, those are just my thoughts and opinions on the Forever Purge. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What did you think of the Forever Purge? Have you seen it? Have you watched the previous movies? What did you think of all those? I want to hear everything you have to say down in the comment section below. And yeah, with that all said, thank you all for watching and please subscribe. Novus Corvus out.